Alrighty, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what exactly are APIs and when are these APIs needed and what are the methods of these APIs and what exactly do we mean by request and response. Okay. Alrighty, so API is nothing more than an application interface. When I say application interface, I mean we have a database and we have a web server or an application server, and then we have a client. Client, let's assume that this JMeter is a client. Let's assume that this sticky note uh, is our application server, and let's assume this another sticky note that is our database. Okay, let's assume this is okay. So this JMeter, this black portion of the screen, is the client. When I say client, that means the user's computer, the user, the one who is using that specific application. Let's say if we uh, open anything, facebook.com. So right now this is our client. This I am an end user, and this is the client, and when I log in, I'm gonna send a request. Okay, well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send a request to the application server with my login. Okay, with my login credentials. What this application server will do, this application server will send the request to the database, and database will return back with some kind of a response. Okay, so this is a request, and whatever we get from the database, that is a response. Okay, either it can be from database or it can be from the code that is written. Okay, so this response is then sent to the client, over let's say in our case, if we send this login request, then our whole data will come as a response, and then you will see your home page, which is the very first page of Facebook. Okay, so this is what request response. Okay, so there are four mainly number of or types of methods of requests. Okay, so either it can be get request, it can be post request, it can be put request, it can be delete request, and or it can be patch, patch request. Usually these four will do the job, but sometimes for a few years now we are experiencing more patch requests. Okay, there is a purpose of all these requests. Get request is usually when we are getting something from the database. Get some data. Post is when we are trying to save some data. It is not that it will definitely save, but it is good practice if we make the post request as something that is being written on database for the simplicity's sake. Put is update. the update or save the DB. Okay, so delete is delete from the DB. Okay, patch is update only in DB. Okay, so it is not hard rule that it has to do, or either one of has to do what we just mentioned, but it is a good practice. Usually this is what these requests will do. Okay, now we did talk about earlier that there's a request and response. How can we make sure that the response is good? Usually the response comes with status code. Okay, so this status code usually tells us if our response is good or not. This status code is going to be dependent on the kind of request that we send. Okay, if the request that we send is bad, then obviously the response is going to be bad. If the request is good, then the chances are the response is going to be good. Okay, so usually the status code, which is from 200 to 299, this range is considered as a good response, or a successful response, you can say. Whereas anything from 400 to within the 400 range is a bad response. Anything over 500 is something that has to do with the server. 500 or greater than 500. Okay, so that is something has to do with the server. Okay, request. There are a few things that we have to remember. What exactly are the requests? Okay, so request, the very first thing it will have the protocol. Let's say it has HTTP. Then it will have the server name. Okay, then it's gonna be server name. Then it will have the port name. Then it will have the path. And last, it can have parameters. The parameters will always exist in, or always come in, key value pair. Okay, there's going to be a key and that will have a value. Okay, I'm sorry, over here instead of server name, let's put host name. Okay, so there are a lot of times you guys will see that there is going to be something called facebook.com. Okay, so this whole area will be I don't know what's the word that I'm thinking of, but instead of having two host name and port name, it will only have Facebook. So Facebook is usually a server name which internally will have a host name and port. Okay, it is just, it has been mocked with this Facebook. Okay, but the concept is going to be same. Okay, so now remember, there's always going to be three parts to the request. Rest of the stuff we will discuss in later videos. For now, thank you, and please like and subscribe.